Hartsfield and Styx were two more musical success stories that used Golden Voice as a part of their early career. Hartsfield is an American vocal rock group that was formed in 1970 by guitarist J.C. Hartsfield and Perry Jordan. The second album released by Hartsfield was The Wonder of It All, which was recorded at Golden Voice and is still available for purchase today. Having Billboard charted singles and albums, Hartsfield has sold millions of records and were pioneers in the southern rock, country rock genres. Their complex lead guitar riffs and their 3- and 4-part harmonies captivated their audiences. The band Styx had already recorded 2 albums by 1974 when they came to Golden Voice. The results were exciting, and Styx may have been a step ahead of the music scene. The album Man of Miracles, released on the Wooden Nickel label, remains a staple of the early stages of rock and roll. Dennis DeYoung and Styx continue to draw a crowd wherever they perform. Everyone who recorded at Golden Voice has a story to tell about their music experiences. If Marvin Rainwater was still alive, he would tell us that his ride on the music train had many turns and spins. He was probably in a class of his own, and if you had met him, you wouldn't forget him.
Marvin Rainwater, who passed away in 2013, was a well-known American country and rockabilly singer and songwriter. Before Golden Voice came into being, Marvin had several hits in the 1950s, including Going to Find Me a Bluebird and Whole Lotta Woman. He was 25% Cherokee and proud of his native heritage. He displayed that pride in his clothing that he wore when he performed on stage.
Way down yonder in the Indian Nation, I'm a-going back to the reservation in the Oklahoma hills where I was born. Way down yonder in the Indian...
Health impeded his career for several years, and around 1970, after dealing with throat problems, Marvin spent long hours at Golden Voice in South Pekin working on a new 45 RPM release on the Westco label. As much as he desired to recover the enthusiasm of his early audience, it was a difficult challenge.
Many Peorians, most who never achieved national recognition, can claim they were on a record album as part of the group called the Young Folk, who did 2 different albums at Golden Voice. Danny Beard was part of this group, which was formed from 14 different Peoria area schools, and he seemed destined for success after joining the Fifth Dimension and then performing in 4 different theater productions. Sadly, he died in an arson fire in New York at age 32. Many Central Illinois high school students, and yes, college musicians, can be included with the long list of those who were part of the Young Folk. Springfield, Auburn, Glenwood, and Pekin High would be on that list, along with Illinois State University and Lincoln Christian College. And the jazz band from Western Illinois University produced recordings for a well-known New York company called Music Minus One. Peoria blues legend Byron Wildchild Gibson played keyboard on several recordings at the South Pekin studio, one with the Jam Factory. Wildchild also recorded mixtapes for nationally known exotic dancers. Two other famous people who spent time at Golden Voice were recording engineer Bill Porter and the famous gospel singer Andre Crouch. Bill Porter's world-famous engineering ability produced uncountable big-name hits, receiving 37 certified gold records, including Elvis Presley. It was Jerry's admiration for that sound he was producing that brought Bill Porter to Pekin, Illinois.
I spent many long hours studying hit albums that were recorded throughout the music industry. I wanted to get the best sound possible, and some of the recordings that I was impressed with were coming out of Nashville. I saw the name Bill Porter as a chief engineer at RCA on the back of many successful albums. So I got the bright idea of contacting Bill to see if I could buy some of his time to give me some one-on-one input. I left word at RCA Studio B that I wanted to talk to Bill, and he returned my call. I proceeded to ask him if he was available for hire to come to Golden Voice to spend a few days, and he accepted my offer. During my time spent with Bill, I learned that the high level of studio musicianship in Nashville was the major ingredient in the creation of the Nashville sound. As Bill worked with local talent while at Golden Voice, he could only produce a limited amount of magic above the levels that we had already established. Equipment and studio space alone were not Bill's secret weapons.
By 1973, the music industry was changing everywhere and bigger opportunities were opening up, especially in the cities known for glamour and entertainment. The Golden Voice music was being heard around the world. Blytham promoters also recognized the changes taking place, and they followed opportunity by making changes of their own.
Well, Bob Nutt stayed behind in Champaign, and Irving moved to the West Coast once they started getting talent signed to record labels. And Irving became extremely successful. He has just never stopped going. Today, he's still building venues around the country and around the world, and it's just a success story that's just unbelievable until it's read. He had a right-hand man named John Barrick, who really was the leg guy, or the leg man, that took a lot of the tapes that we recorded and flew to the coast and beat the streets and met with the record companies. And he was the one that got a lot of the early contracts for the bands like REO and Dan Fogelberg. Well, John went on to become very successful also. He worked in management with Irving. John Barrick went on to manage Journey and still does today, and just a list of talent. And there was another fellow named Barry Fosman who came to the studio with the One-Eyed Jacks and a lot of different talent. And he worked with John Barrick on producing a number of the bands and talent. And Barry went on to become very successful on his own on the West Coast. So in a nutshell, Blytham Limited not only was successful in Champaign, they really ruled the industry for a good length of time and still do today.
Jerry gained extensive knowledge from building and equipping Golden Voice. His experience as a musician and his hands-on expertise as an engineer, along with his association with a vast cross-section of entertainers, talent agencies, and record companies, led him to the idea of helping others design and equip their own studios. Jerry had a love for the latest in state-of-the-art technology, and he and his wife Mary Ann founded Milam Audio while still owning Golden Voice. Timing was excellent and on the cutting edge of a worldwide and emerging industry called professional audio. With the rapid growth and success of Milam Audio, it led to the fact that Golden Voice was becoming competitive with their pro audio clients. And in 1975, they made the decision to sell the studio to Terry Jameson on contract for deed. When Jerry and Mary Ann moved Milam Audio to a new and separate location, Tom Byler realized the opportunity this new company would provide, and he became service manager in 1976. As good fortune would have it, Milam Audio became internationally known and respected throughout the industry.
Yeah, I know everybody has special memories of Jerry and different things he did or said or helped them in some way, but I remember one time in particular in the studio. We were cutting the Hartsfield album, I believe, and Jerry had gone to a 3M tape machine at that time, and it was new. We hadn't used it. And into the session, a few minutes, we realized that there was a 60 cycle buzz getting into all the audio tracks, and it was present on all of them, and we didn't know what to do about it. And all of a sudden Jerry disappeared, and a little while later he came back, and he had gone into town, and he came back with this 6 or 8 inch cast iron plumbing nipple, big old gnarly thing with threads on both ends. And he and I and Terry Jameson worked to try to attach this thing so it would cover the capstan motor on that tape machine, because 3M had gone to an AC motor instead of a DC motor, and that's where Jerry had realized the 60 cycle hum was coming from. So we finally got that thing attached to the bottom of the tape machine chassis so it made good ground, good contact. And that took care of all that 60 cycle buzz. And so that's how an $8 plumbing pipe fixed a $30,000 tape machine. But that was Jerry, self-taught, always coming up with a solution.